It is time to wrap up the 2006 SCCA Pro Racing Speed World Challenge Championships, and one would be hard-pressed to find a more beautiful location than right here on the Monterey Peninsula and Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. Welcome to the final round of the Speed Touring Car Championship, Round 10 for 2006. But first, let's get you to our Mazda starting grid. In row one, Eric Kern, his second straight pole, third at Road Atlanta in the Active Certified Pre-Owned RSX. And Randy Popes looking for some help in his championship chase. He won at St. Pete and most recently at Road Atlanta. We go to row number two, Jeff Altenberg, who in 03 and 04 won here from pole. This is a track he knows and loves. Watch for him and Pierre Kleinubing leading in the points coming in and looking to wrap up that fourth championship. 2 wins this year. Row number three, his team owner, Peter Cunningham, a four-time champion in his own right, and Petey very effective here as a win in Super Production and also in GT at this track. And Charles Espenlaub, who had the pole and second place at Road America, the Sparco Oakley Tyndall Motorsports Mazda 6. We go to row four, Nick Essayan, his best qualifying effort of the season, beating his 8th at Sebring, a great run in the Acura. And Brian Smith, the rookie who has been very quick as of late in the Woodhouse Auto Family Kicker Dodge SRT4. And in row five, Dan Awida, another of the Dodge SRT4s on the inside, ties his best qualifying effort. But Dorsey Schrader, surprising to me, Chip Herr, third in the points, is back in 10th.
Absolutely. Chip with his Audi A4 all-wheel drive is not as far up as we would think. Now, it might be because the track has just been resurfaced and the grip level's off.
Standing start, last one of the season for touring cars, and the championship on the line for the driver's title. We are underway, and look at the launch by Herr, back from 10th, just trying to do anything he can. It's an uphill climb, Dorsey, then that blind brown one, and down into a corner that, boy, it can be carnage. Let's hope they all get through. Ooh, a lot of smoke.
That's Chip Herr has got nowhere to go from 10th. He needed to be farther up for that jump of the all-wheel drive to be able to really help him. He's mired into the pack right now.
Looks like he might slot in about 6th or so did make up
somebody
off. I think they gathered it up, however. And it is one of the Audis has run wide, but is back there. We think it is Courtney, but it is Eric Kern.
Take the lead and start to move up in front if he can, but he needs help from his teammates.
Boy, and there was Herr, but he was under attack heading into the corkscrew. Some of the other action here, that's Dan Awida.
Without that curbing, these guys are going to make this racetrack a sand pit.
There's a look at Kleinubing, is currently in the 4th position. Now, with Popes running second, that's enough for Pierre. But obviously, Popes is going to try and do something. The issue, I think, for Pierre is right behind him is Chip Herr. Now, Popes is off!
From behind, Martinelli was the victim of the circumstance.
Now, we go back. There's Randy Popes. He's gathered it up, but he has lost a lot of
ground.
He's off again.
This could be a flat tire now.
I wonder if he broke something.
Yeah, or broke a suspension,
tire,
which will end the championship if that's the case.
Welcome back to Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca as we ride on board with Pierre Kleinubing, currently running in the 3rd spot, and that is now easily good enough for him to clinch the championship. So Pierre's running strong right now, but he does have some serious pressure as a guy named Chip Herr is all over the back of Kleinubing right now and making life real interesting, I'm sure. And I would think that Pierre, knowing where Randy sits right now, if Chip comes up and really starts racing him and banging on him and everything, he'd just let him go, wouldn't he?
I would think so. And Chip Herr was surprising to us. Like I said at the beginning of the show, he was 10th. And last year, Audi dominated on this racetrack. Now, the new surface has got a little bit more grip, but still in all, I have to believe that Chip Herr just didn't have a good qualifying run.
And Chip's looking awfully good, taking a look into the corkscrew. No, Calvin, he thought about it but couldn't get her done.
Well, he said he was certainly going to be circumspect during this race. He anticipated maybe getting up into the top 5, top 6 off the start. That's exactly what he did. And he said, then I'm going to be around those championship hopefuls. He said, I don't want to get into those games. He said, I got 3rd place in the championship. I'd like to consolidate that and walk away from this season with kind of a podium finish in the championship as well. So, but he will also know that Randy Popes has had problems, and he's probably going to be leaning on Kleinubing, hoping that Kleinubing will be playing it safe also.
Yep, and that other repaving here up there, that just that big hole there was much worse than it ever was in that corner. Well, and it caught Randy out.
He went in the hole and then hit the curbing edge where it starts square on, and of course just slammed that wheel and squared it out.
You can see he's certainly fast. He just set the race's fastest lap at this stage. Now we're looking back from Kleinubing at Herr's. They're making that run up into the corkscrew, and Herr all over the back trying to figure something out.
And of course Kleinubing will be looking in the rearview mirror and saying, you know, do I really need to do this?
Exactly.
Do I want to mess with this? You know, I've got this championship won, but I won't if Chip puts me in the weeds here.
Now, one of the things you were talking about, the way the curbing is done at this track, and cars tend to, if they shortcut the curb just a little bit, they're bringing a lot of junk onto the track. You would think if that happens, the more it happens, the more effective that Audi would be.
That is another fact for sure, because they will bring the sand on the racetrack. Racetrack grip will go down. Audi's grip will go up with the all-wheel drive, and that's something that all the competitors short of Chip Herr should be thinking about. In fact, Chip has got around. It's so bad, in fact, they're going to rip the surface up again and redo the whole racetrack, which is an expensive.
Well, it's part of a $7 million renovation and upgrade, and most of that went into the cost of the repaving, and now they have to do it all over again. Look at this. It has Pierre still being a little bit racy.
Look at the all-wheel drive slide, four-wheel drift as he goes off over the curb. Of course, he gets traction out there. I mean, that all-wheel drive, he can do that. Get out there, and all four of those tires pulling away there, gets him the good grip he needs.
Now again, Kleinubing looking down the inside here. Want to be very careful. And you know Chip's going to turn in, or does he? Well, Chip.
Nope.
That's very gentlemanly, because Chip easily could have turned in, but that would have affected a championship.
And
oh, but look at this. Here comes P.D. Cunningham. And gets him. Drives right around the outside of Pierre as those two were roughing it up, and P.D. just said, thanks, guys. Now, look at that.
Hey.
Now, that's an aggressive defense.
Yeah. A lot of orange and white cars around here all of a sudden. That one got real fat.
Real big. And we're on board with Espinlaub here, currently in the 6th spot, who's watching what's going on there and thinking, well, maybe I can take advantage of this too. But boy, did Pierre Kleinubing, that Acura turned into a tank.
See, Pierre does not need to do that, because if you do that to me, Pierre, that's going to aggravate me, and I'm going to send you flying if you do that again. And he can win this championship by being cool. That was a little aggressive.
Well, Chip just got another great run on the way up into the corkscrew.
Sometimes at this racetrack in particular, we're talking about how dirty it gets. You get offline, you get a little bit to the outside with two of your tires or two of your wheels, and all of a sudden the car just takes off like you've got a flat tire. In fact, what it is there's just no grip. There's so much sand around here because the guy's dropping wheels.
We were on board with Kleinubing for a moment. You can see Chip Herr, but Brandon Davis is now coming up. That's the RealTime Acura with the black hood. The Monster Energy drink sponsorship right there is coming up and trying to mess with Chip Herr's mind just a little bit. And so that was kind of a late move. I mean,
that was late.
Espinlaub's already starting to turn in, and he dive bomb him there.
All contact is avoidable if you don't come to the racetrack. You know?
Well,
so it's kind of a ridiculous statement.
That's the racer's perspective. I like it.
If you don't come in this lap, we will stop scoring you, which is the end of your race no matter what you do, and then you definitely have to come in. I've never seen any of those arguments won yet.
Very few. It's very few.
That.
Still watching Chip Herr. Right in front is Pierre Kleinubing. These two duking it out for the 4th spot. Kleinubing has it, and right now, just as an update, Randy Pobst is in 18th. So I mean, Chip, he can pass him. He can't. Doesn't matter. Kleinubing right now has the championship locked up. So it's be interesting to see just how much pressure Chip puts on. Meanwhile, up front, Kern, Altenberg, and Cunningham are gone.
Chip's brake lights are on all the time for whatever reason. Now, I doubt that he's keeping his left foot resting on that brake. More than likely, the brake pad or the brake light switch is stuck in some position.
What about PD? He's close to Chip Herr in the points. Anything you can do there?
Yeah, he's definitely close to Chip. So now, we're also going to try to help PD get ahead of Chip.
That's the thing. And Eric, let's make no mistake, Eric Kern is driving absolutely beautifully, as he has been for some time. That is Kleinubing and Herr working through the traffic. There's Mary Catherine again. I couldn't quite get the number of the other car they're working by, but coming up through the pack here right now. And they cleared that traffic, and Chip was not able to do anything with it. Now they've got fairly clear track up to the Altenberg-Cunningham battle for second.
Of course, we should say Eric Kern was also the pole sitter, and he had a 2/10 second lead. Peter Cunningham is right on the back end of Jeff Altenberg, trying to get that position away as they come out of the corkscrew.
We're on board with Kleinubing right here, looking back at Chip Herr. So Chip continues to chase, but Calvin, right now, the RealTime Acura is looking pretty tough.
They're looking real tough, and Eric Kern runs at the front in that Acura RSX, as you mentioned. Now, this may be the swan song.
Well, Calvin, if he gets a caution flag, that car could win the race. He has been quicker. He's 0.2 of a second quicker this lap than Eric Kern, who is leading the race. But without the caution, he's got a long way to go.
Long battle. He's coming up on Espinlaub for 6th. So that would be the next person. Look at Chip Herr taking a look again up into turn 6. But we have had action all over this track. And
that could have been the caution you needed, but it wasn't.
Yeah, it didn't quite happen. So Holland trying to get down underneath Mary Catherine. And obviously a little bit of a bump there. Meanwhile, looking at Chip Herr, who, well, it's interesting, at one part of the track, he is all over the back of Kleinubing, and then we come back just a few corners later, and Kleinubing's opened it up again. So it's a real back and forth battle for fourth. Kleinubing looking to get that fourth championship with Chip Herr now only a length behind.
Is better right here. Chip Herr is good on top of this hill, getting up that hill and through the corkscrew. He makes a lot of ground on Pierre, but Pierre is better from the turn 1 through turn 5 complex.
Is that power climbing?
Well, it could be a power issue, no question, because that's torque going up that hill, and that is a turbocharged car, so I think you're absolutely on the money there.
And obviously the VTEC engine that they run in those TSXs with that variable valve and cam profiling, I think really helps out a little bit. But boy, does Chip get out of that last turn strong.
Yeah, you'll see the two different strengths of the cars, and Pierre's strength is once he gets through turn 1, through 2, 3, 4, the flat part of the racetrack where there is no hill whatsoever, the car is better. And then you get to that turn 6, start climbing up the hill, and that turbocharged Audi and the torque that it makes is better.
Well, and I'll tell you, Chip Herr running real wide, trying to open the angles up, Cal, to find any way to get by Pierre.
That's right, he's really putting the pressure on, and Pierre Kleinubing came into this weekend with the championship lead. You would have thought they'd been relatively conservative with their setup. They came here with a brand new shock setup, 4-way adjustable motors. They normally run the 3-way, and I said, isn't that a bit of a gamble? They said, no, Pierre's really tricked with the shocks. He likes the setup. We're working away at it. They didn't show pace early in the weekend, but as they got more sessions under their belt, Pierre really felt the car was coming to him, so that seems to be playing out, certainly through the infield. They're looking for grip.
Oh, Chip!
Well, he doesn't have him yet, but he's going to get him. This is the closest he's been on the infield. Now he can use that torque, run up the hill. I'm sure Pierre's not going to give him the inside, however. But I think right now Chip Herr's got the faster car.
He's only got 2.5 laps really to get that done right now. So Chip at this stage just falls a car length and a half or so away. So 2 laps to go in the Speed Touring Car Championship season here at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. And we continue to watch this battle for a couple of reasons. One, it's just plain good watching Chip Herr coming after Pierre. But Pierre, this 4th place finish, even if he ends up in 5th, will get his 4th championship in this touring car division. And that would tie him as Chip Herr big cross up and saves it.
Yeah, but that's going to cost him some valuable time. And with 2 laps to go, that just ate one of those laps up.
Exactly. Now he's really going to have to put his head down. As I was saying, it will tie Pierre with team owner P.D. Cunningham for 4 championships, move him away from Lou Gelati, who has 3. And of course, still Michael Gelati holds the record with 5 championships in 2 different divisions at this stage. But Pierre, I think that would set him alone if he just ran with just touring car championships. He'd be the only guy with 4 touring car championships.
It's not close enough with 1 lap to go to take that away, but
look at Espinlab
is coming right behind Chip Herr.
I think the reason Espinlab's had to pick the pace up is a guy named Crescentini, who's 7th now, is all over the back of Charles and forcing him to just pick it up just a little bit.
That could turn into a really good battle back there.
Matter of fact, they're on board with Charles right now, and you can see Herr up in the distance. Herr gets away just a little bit at this stage.
Of course, that's what Kleinubing wants to see in the rearview mirror, too. He says, come on, Charles, get up here.
And there we go, Altenberg and Cunningham and Pierre Kleinubing onto the front straight. Will hold on to 4th and will get his 4th touring car championship in Speed World Challenge competition. He has done it, his first one, amazingly, since 2001. It's been a long dry spell for him in terms of championships this season. They have had. Let's take a look at the unofficial results of the race. There you see Kern, Altenberg, Cunningham with his podium. Kleinubing in the championship. Chip Herr just couldn't quite get it done. Dino Crescentini is your hard charger from 28th. Here are your top 10 in the Drivers' Championship. After this, you can see Kleinubing with his championship. Pope still 2nd. Herr 3rd. Cunningham 4th. And Eric Kern. Just a great drive this weekend. Everything working out very nicely as he ends up in the top 6. And Jeff Courtney there in 10th. Even though he had his problems early, he did have enough points in him.